what do the Cold War, the Vietnam War, and even the recent wars in Iraq and Afghanistan have in common? The answer is that these conflicts and other conflicts throughout history are all a result of tensions between Eastern and Western cultures. Nowhere is this tension between Eastern and Western cultures more prevalent than in the Hong Kong and China division. Today I'm here to outline that cultural divide between Hong Kong and China and to inform you of the implications it has on the world. This divide is important for world politics because many of the conflicts today in the world stem from that same conflict between Eastern values and Western values. I'll begin by going through the modern history behind Hong Kong's separation from China, as well as the different environment that history begot, followed by the cultural implications caused by the different history and environments for Hong Kong and China. To begin, Hong Kong was originally a British colony. According to Campbell Shapir's outline of Hong Kong's history in the reputable English newspaper The Guardian in 2002, the Treaty of Nanking ceded Hong Kong from China to Britain at the end of the First Opium War. Also, Britain signed a contract extension in 1898 for a 99-year extension. In 1997, Britain relinquished control over Hong Kong to China with special provisions that it maintain autonomy of government. Because it was shielded from by British control, Hong Kong did not deal with the cultural revolution that was going on in China in the 40s and 50s that led to its communist state today. Instead, it was brought up with Western laws and customs by the British. Now that I've gone through the historical background differentiating China from Hong Kong, I will go into the different environments between the two. There are two main different environments. The first, according to the Heritage Foundation's Ambassador Terry Miller, Dr. Kim Holmes, and Anthony Kim in 2014, is governmental structure. According to the Heritage Foundation, the democratic self-government shown by Hong Kong gives its citizens great personal freedoms, including right to choose when they reproduce, right to freedom of speech, and right to free media and freedom to assembly. Also, because Hong Kong has very Western culture and laws, they have the second highest rate in the world, according to the Heritage Foundation, on personal freedom of personal property. On the flip side, the Chinese government is made up of socialist government headed up by the Chinese Communist Party. And this Communist Party exercises great control over the lives of its citizens, including the right to reproduce and the right to free speech and the right to media. Also, because the Chinese government exercises control over all the land in China, they have one of the lowest rates of personal property in the entire world, according to the Heritage Foundation. Another different environmental cause between these two cultures is different economics. Although both have relatively open markets and very low unemployment rates, it is much easier to start a business in Hong Kong as it is in China. Also, the per capita GDP in Hong Kong is the highest in the world, even higher than the United States, at about $51,000 per individual, while the per capita GDP of China, while steadily rising, is about $9,500, or roughly one-fifth that of Hong Kong residents. Because of these many environmental factors, there is a great cultural divide between Hong Kong and Chinese residents. In fact, by Adam Minner's 2014 article, he's a very well-known Asian correspondent in Gulf News newspaper. He said that residents in Hong Kong often look down upon residents in mainland China because of their cultural values and personal freedom and a higher GDP. In fact, according to Vanessa Koh's very reputable Times Magazine article in 2012, while most Chinese view imperialism by England as a huge negative, people in Hong Kong often view it as a positive and the root of many of their advantages they perceive to have over mainland Chinese residents. These advantages include the aforementioned right to assemble, right to free speech, right to own property, and right to have their own government. Because of these advantages as well as their GDP, they often look down on mainlanders as culturally less inclined as well as less mentally superior to themselves. Also, Hong Kong natives are often dismayed when the resources are used by mainland Chinese. Recently, there's been a huge epidemic of mainland Chinese mothers coming over into the mainland to give birth in Hong Kong hospitals so their children will have Hong Kong residency and be able to experience all the advantages that Hong Kong brings. As many as 37% of the children born in Hong Kong were to Chinese mothers doing the same procedure. Also, the cultural differences do not seem to be subsiding anytime soon. According to a recent Hong Kong University poll, the number of Hong Kong residents viewing themselves as Hong Kong citizens as opposed to Chinese citizens is at an all-time high. And the question remains in Hong Kong whether or not they will retain autonomy after the 50-year contract expires in 2047. In conclusion, only time will tell whether or not Hong Kong residents and Chinese residents will sort out their cultural differences caused by modern history differences as well as different environments and all of the other cultural implications that brings. I hope I've been able to inform you of the cultural differences and their implications between Hong Kong and mainland China today, as well as I hope you pay attention to this situation because a peaceful conclusion to these cultural differences can also bring a roadmap to the cultural conclusion of wars between East and West cultures across the globe. Thank you.